Currently, there are many violent protests going on in the USA. These protests are because of the deaths of 2 black people and the abuse of 1 black man. The person that people are protesting for the most is a man named George Floyd. He was killed because he used a counterfeit $20 bill to buy cigarettes. A cop placed his knee on his neck and didn't take it off despite Floyd not resisting and saying he couldn't breathe. The officer was then charged with murder and manslaughter. My goal today is to show you how we can stop these violent protests. Police officers are throwing tear gas and beating up the protesters. This is not right because protesters are trying to stand up for their rights. But it's not also the cops that are being violent, it's also the people. Recently, people have been breaking into stores in Beverly Hills and other places and running away with stuff worth thousands of dollars. They've also been throwing things and pouring water on the cops. These protests have become so bad that some cities, such as Atlanta, have had to place a curfew, and President Trump has had to call the National Guard to help. Many black people these days are afraid of calling the cops because they feel like that they're going to get harmed or go to jail. And it's not just in the US that people are protesting. It's in Britain, France, and Germany. Thousands of people gathered in Parliament Square in London despite the rain. They shouted George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, and No Justice, No Peace. In Paris, 20,000 people gathered to remember Adama Traoré, a Frenchman who died in police custody in 2016. There's a big controversy going around about the knee that was used to kill Floyd and the knee that former 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick used to kneel during the national anthem. The coincidence is that Kaepernick used his knee to stand up against police violence, and Floyd was killed by an officer's knee. Also, the NFL regrets treating Kaepernick harshly for what he did. Many teams like the Bengals, Patriots, and Cowboys are donating $1 million to improve police training and address systematic racism through education. Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott says, "We must commit to hold ourselves and our communities accountable. We must teach one another about our differences, and we must embrace the different colors, cultures, and ways of life. To be multiracial is beautiful, and that's what this country is." This is a very inspirational quote that everyone should hear. However, not all of the protests going around are violent. For example, hundreds of black students in Franklin High School, North Carolina, gathered outside peacefully to protest. They were holding up signs and chanting, "No justice, no peace, prosecute the police." One student wore a mask saying, "I can't breathe," in honor of George Floyd. Many students at the school say they don't feel comfortable being around cops and they want to change that. On the other hand, there are also police officers that are kneeling with some of the protesters. For example, Atlanta police officer Jay Coleman is seen fist bumping and kneeling with protester Elijah Raffington. Protesters and police coming together is what we need to stop this violence. Violent protests are the last thing we need during this COVID-19 pandemic. If we're all peaceful, we can stop them. Thank you.